Hi, welcome to the Auto Grace Podcast. You're listening to episode 1, season 1. Our special guest today is Atiba Sheree from Travel with Atiba Sheree. Hey, everybody out there. I want to welcome you to the Auto Grace Podcast. It's your number one Grace girl, Farra, and I am super excited to have my dear friend with me, Atiba McMathis of Travel with Atiba Sheree. The reason why I really wanted to have Atiba here with me today is because let me tell you, for you guys who follow me on social media, you see my pictures traveling, and some of the trips that I get questioned about the most is the trips that she has booked. And so I'm super excited to have her here with me today. She's my very first guest. And when I told her that I wanted to start this podcast, I was overjoyed that she said yes and said that she would come and spend time with me and share about her business with you all. So thank you for being here with us. And before we start, I want to let everybody know, if you stay to the end of the podcast today, Atiba's going to have a very special gift today for our listeners. So please stick around so you can get that free gift at the end of the podcast. So welcome, Atiba. Thank you for being here. No, thank you. Listen, I have known Atiba for some years, and we actually met outside of travel. For anybody to know, we actually met, we worked together, and we stayed in contact. And when it was time for me to take some time for myself and have some self-care, she was the one that I called on, and I'm super excited about that. I've done 2 girls trips with you so far. Yep. And looking to do plenty more because she's always planning something. So when I say trips, it can be for you and your family, it can be for you and your spouse. But for all the ones that you guys have been asking me about, it's been those girls trips. That is like a phenomenon right now. And she's right in the center of it. When I was getting ready for you to come on the podcast today, I started thinking about how as women in general, lots of times our role is, being a wife, being a mom and working, and how we didn't used to travel a lot. No. And I don't know if you're as old as me. You guys who are listening, you know that I just turned 50 this year, but I don't know if you know what a pen pal is. And so yes. That was the gist of our getting exposure to people in other cultures, is pen paling with people. And for our listeners who don't know what that is, for our young, people out there, our millennials and our Gen Zs, that was a way that you met somebody from another country and you would write back and forth and learn about each other. But now we're taking a leap of faith and doing it. Like, exactly. Those pen pals that we had, whether it was in another country, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, you would write a little letter and then, you would hope to get that piece of mail back. Now we're doing those trips to Jamaica and Puerto Rico. So traveling is a whole lot of fun. I wanted to start out with this quote I got today. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And I was sitting here today before we started the podcast, and I was asking myself, what was my first international trip? And it was actually to Panama for a missions trip. And even though I was there for work and, it wasn't like just a leisurely trip, it gave me the bug to say, I want to start traveling more. So that was one of the first questions I wanted to ask you is, what was your first trip?
My first international trip was to St. Martin's.
Wow. Okay.
That was in 2007. It was my honeymoon.
Wow.
I had no desire to really travel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from a little town in Pennsylvania, and you're going to Chicago, Cleveland, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You're not doing big travel. And I said, just one time, I want to go international. I just wanted to experience one time. And that's where we went for our honeymoon.
Wow. And people have a fear of traveling even still today, which, I'm like, wow, I want to get out of the area that I grew up in per se, like just being around the neighborhood.
Yes.
Or just, that as far as my experiences is driving around my little, to work back home, or maybe in the same state, but going, in different areas. But why not pack a bag and decide, hey, I want to just take a trip, do something different. What made you decide to travel besides the honeymoon?
Well, starting then, I just wanted that one-time experience. It was like a bucket list thing.
Yes.
Never thought about traveling again. I moved here to Florida in 2008. And once you get around a different socialite people.
Yes.
It opens your eyes to other things. Like in my little hometown, nobody's travels.
Yeah.
No one's really going international. It's all like staying within the state.
Yeah.
So moving here, being around different people, seeing them travel, seeing them going on cruises. I had never been on a cruise until I believe it was like 2010.
Okay.
I had went with my cousin for the first time on a cruise.
Okay.
And that opened my eyes, and then after that I was just like, everybody else is going, I want to do it too. And that's what started me, like, researching, doing it. Then by that time my kids were a little older, so now they can really do things when we go. So that's how I really started, with my family. And
I was just saying just a moment ago that maybe people who don't travel, it could be because they have kids or just because of life in general, but I would implore you to try and take some time out for yourself. Let's see, what's the next question I have for you. What made you want to start your travel business?
So I started traveling with my family and posting it on social media, and people were like, how'd you find out about that?
Yes.
What did you do about that? My daughter, she'll be the first one to tell you. If my mom didn't ask you something or said she wanted to do something, she just researched it for about a year before she even mentioned anything about it. So it was all research, figuring out what I wanted to do with the kids, did it. People started asking about it. Then it got to the point of people were like, oh, can you do it for me? And then someone else was like, well, if you're booking people stuff, why don't you just open a business? And then I started researching on that, how to go about doing it. And I did it that way because I was sitting on my main job on lunches, breaks, downtime, in between patients, and booking my coworkers trips. And wasn't getting paid for it. I was just doing it to be nice, helping. But then it was like, hey, you can get paid for this. So that's how I ended up starting.
And I didn't even share that, Atiba, she has a job, she has a family, so in between all of this, her heart and her passion for travel, she makes the time. She makes the time for you as a client, personal time. It's not just something she's doing quickly. It takes research, it takes time out of her schedule, and that's because she has a love for her clients. So, we got some more information for you getting towards the end of the podcast about, travel with Sheree. When did you realize that you had a following? You were just talking about that, people that wanted to support you with the business.
Once I announced it, I did not tell anybody.
Okay.
I started doing the research. I started getting everything up and going, doing different, like suppliers, they'll have different classes for you to take.
Okay.
I did all that for about 7 months and never told a soul. And then January 1st, 2019, I just launched it on Instagram, Facebook, and people start, wait, did somebody steal your name, or is this you? You gotta travel? Yes.
I remember when I started seeing your posts, and I was like, oh my God, I really want to do that. But we've been friends for a long time, and I was, I had my family, I had, Logan's situation, so I had to wait until that time was right. I know there has to be a season for you to travel. It's not just something you just drop, because you're dropping a lot of money on some of these trips because you're investing in yourself. It's an investment in yourself. So once the timing was right, I was like, hey, I'm ready to go. So we're gonna actually talk about that a little bit more. What's your favorite mode of travel, cruising or international travel, and why? And one thing about living in the state of Florida is that we have access to just get somewhere really quickly, with being near the airports. We have so many airports out here, and we do have a lot of cruise outlets here, which is great for people. So what do you think is some of your favorites?
For me, I like international travel.
Okay.
I actually want to see the culture. I want to see what's going on. I want to see how everyone's living, how it is. I want to go in parts that's not the tourist area.
Yes.
With cruising, I feel like, okay, we're going to the port. I only have 4 to 6 hours to enjoy myself.
Yes.
And what if I'm really enjoying myself? I don't want to leave, but I have to leave because I'm going to get left.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I really want to enjoy myself. If I'm having fun, I want to stay and keep having fun. I don't want to leave. And also, I don't want to be confined to a boat the whole time. That I'm going to whatever ports I'm going to. Yes, it is good for a little break, but I really enjoy actually getting on a plane, flying there, and knowing the culture and seeing what it's really about for a couple days versus just for a couple hours. And that's just at the port where it's all tourists. You're not really seeing much of like the culture.
Gotcha. It's funny because I was watching a broadcast a few weeks ago. It was talking about tourists and how, you know, lots of times we go places just for the picture or for the photo op versus going and just mingling with the culture of people. So you go there and you're not really going there to say, hey, I'm leaving the state that I'm in to go somewhere else just to lay within your resort, which is fun. But why not pick up and try to go out and, you know, enjoy some of the people that's outside of, you know, your resort area, although we think about safety. I know that our last girls trip that we did, you know, you had a personal driver for us and they were able to come out and bring us out and around.
That's my main goal for any time we go anywhere. Is having a personal driver, a personal pickup. I want us all to be together as a group, not some scattered here, some scattered there. So everybody can feel comfortable because we're with each other. I don't want anyone to feel like alone, like I'm at the airport alone. What do I do?
Yes, exactly.
So I try to have whoever's coming from Florida, try for us all to be on the same flight. If you're coming from another state, you know, we'll meet you on the other side. This will time that we're going to arrive. And we'll, you know, hopefully we can all meet up at the same time and get the same transportation.
Yes. I do know that, and just for those who are listening right now and who are watching, the last trip that we did was amazing. We had such a good time. And Atiba rolls out the red carpet when she's, you know, taking care of her clients. I mean, from booking everything for us to having VIP service. I mean, we had an amazing experience with having that VIP experience coming into the DR in the airport with, you know, we didn't have to wait on any lines. We didn't have to go through any customs. They did it all for us. It was all, you know, within our trip.
We didn't have to get any luggage.
Yes, thank goodness. We were able to have a personal driver. And then within the resort, we had a lot of personal things that was there for us, from having a butler who took care of us, a concierge, and it made the experience even the more better. I loved my first girls trip with you last year, but I even loved it even more with this last one that we did because you just upped the ante. So now you're getting all these calls and all these people like, I want to go. And so we're going to get you some information at the end of the podcast on how you can get in contact with Atiba so that way she can get you ready for your next group trip. Okay. So are your trips open to everyone?
They have been open to everyone.
Okay.
For next year, I do have a lot of hostings. Okay. Hostings as in someone like you is having a birthday. You want me there to basically coordinate and do everything there. Yes, it costs a fee for me to come and do that. You'll get a private invite if, you know, if they want extra people there. You know, I'll go through, pick out certain people. Hey, I think it'd be good for the group for you to come. But usually, they're open. They're mainly open. But as I'm growing, I'm seeing a lot of people want me to host. So for me to have a group one, I don't know what I'm having another open group one.
Got it.
I do have one that's coming up, and she's basically like, you know, invite some of those other girls that you've had that I've seen off of your pictures.
Yeah, because and that's what I love. I love the one thing about the traveling is that the group of women who I've met, you know, being out on your trips with you, just amazing connections, new sisters, you know, new friends, new sister friends. It's been amazing. You know, just meeting the girls who we were with the last trip and just enjoying each other's time and conversation and learning more about other people, even from here, because we're all working all the time. And we live in the same state, in the same area, and we never meet each other. But, you know, having these trips has been a blessing in that. So,
and you get to catch up because some of the girls was there from last year.
Yep,
exactly. You haven't seen them since last year.
Exactly. So the one thing I love about your trips is that you do offer payment plans. And so why is that one of the things that you do for us as women?
Because of the fact of a lot of people say they can't travel because they can't afford it.
Yes.
Which a lot of people have it in their head when someone says, oh, I'm going to do this. They just booked it like 2 months before.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, no. If you book it out, like our Cancun trip last year, the people that did book early, that swim out room was only $19 every 2 weeks. That is affordable, and if you can't afford that, that means you need to stop having your Starbucks twice a week, so you can afford to pay that $19.
Let's bring it down and make our own coffee at home, ladies, because we can. And I love that, because I think that when you had told me about that trip, I did start paying out early, like putting that down payment, which is like $50, ladies, and then from there, hey, how much can I take out every couple of weeks? And when you add it up, I mean, you can't beat the cost.
A lot of the ladies say they don't even realize that I take it out.
Yes.
And they like the fact because they don't have to do anything. All they do is pack.
That's it.
They just know I got this date, I'm going out of town.
Yeah.
And they're not even thinking about the money that's getting pulled out.
Yeah. And now for those who are listening and watching, we do a lot of, Atiba's trips are a lot of all-inclusive resorts. So when she says all you have to do is pack, if your trip is paid for, before you leave, you may be bringing some tip money with you. If you want to do some added things, usually within the trip, she'll add in some excursions, and we know that in advance. And so that's also paid for. So you guys have seen all of the excursions that we did, and everybody was all excited about that. But that was all included. So my last trip I went on, honestly, I just bought a stack of, singles and things to give to the servers, there, of course, because you want to take care of them to give as a tip. But all-inclusive means all-inclusive.
Exactly.
Which is awesome.
Well, all-inclusive without your flight.
Yes, without your flight, yes, depending on the trip, right? So we're going to talk about that a little bit more too. Do you like having smaller groups or larger groups?
I really did like having that large group
last
year, but it was a lot less stressful this year having a smaller group.
Oh yeah, because it is bringing a lot of people together, because our trip last year was a lot of people, and a lot of people come from different areas of the country, and so you do have to bring that all together. And when you're doing excursions and dinners and photos and getting everybody in one place.
Last year was originally 28, and it dropped down to like 25 or 24, right?
Okay.
Like 2 weeks before it was time for us to leave.
Yes.
Because of the flights. I'm gonna let you know when to buy your flight.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Those people did not buy their flight. That's why they got left. Because then the flights were very expensive and they couldn't afford the flights. So
because there is that little up and down for people who travel with airlines, that you get this phenomenal deal, and then there's sometimes when the flights, it's just you just don't know. You just don't know. You just can't control it. It's like they go up and down with the gas prices and all of that. So that's something to be mindful of, as well. But I love both of the trips, whether it was the big or the large ones, just for me. But the last trip was great because I wanted a little bit more relaxation versus being out and about. And so it was great, with the last group that we had. And you talked a little bit about this. If a client wants you to host a group trip, would you? And so you are doing more hostings now, meaning that if you book a group or a client and they want you to host the entire party, is that how it's?
Yes. So basically, you will come to me saying that you want this birthday trip, or family reunion, whatever, girls trip, retreat, whatever you want.
Yes.
I will do everything from booking the rooms. I will get you your packages for if you want like private dinner, semi-dinner, if you want a beach party, set everything, have everything set up.
Okay.
So now that I'm doing that, I will actually go. I'll be there. Yes. I'll make sure that when it's time for like that beach party, I'm going down there making sure the workers are doing what they're supposed to do. Everything is set up how it's supposed to be set up. Yeah. Everyone's where they're supposed to be. If they're supposed to be taking pictures at this time, it's like basically I'm coordinating everything that's there.
I love it. It just takes a lot off of that person who's traveling and trying to enjoy whatever that event is that they're having, versus them have to be concerned about what's going on with my guests? Is this being handled for me? I love the last trip we did because we communicated off of an app. Yeah. And we knew where we were, where each other's were, and we, and then our butlers, and then were able to contact us through those apps. And so that was phenomenal.
And a lot of the times, the person, they want to do something out of the country, but they're too scared.
Got it.
So I do have some people that will only go if I go.
Okay.
Okay. So if I'm not going, they're like, I'm not going to go without you. Like they feel comfortable with me there, like not feeling lost or anything like that.
Because I think that comes with, your experience, your expertise. We can see how hard you work, and you have experience, dealing with these different resorts and hotels, and how to communicate, versus us. We want to just go, and we just want to just relax and go jump in our bed or just sit out by the beach. But there's details in all of that for sure. Okay, so why do you charge for? Do you charge for any type of research fees, change, and late fees? Because I know that I remember when I think I called you last year. I was looking to do a trip somewhere, and I just called you, and I can imagine. I'm thinking about it now as I'm reading that question. Is that I was using your time. Basically. If I called you and just said, "Hey, I'm looking for this hotel in New York City," you have to stop what you're doing to research that for me. And I didn't think about it like that.
So in the beginning, I did not charge a research fee, and I was reading about, like, we have different agency groups.
Okay.
And I always go from time to time looking, reading, seeing what they're doing. Just being nosy, see how can I improve myself and see.
Yes.
And a lot of them were like, they're charging research fees. And I'm like, that's dumb. Why would you do that? But then after time went on, I started noticing why. Is because I get a lot of people that will contact me. I'll give them all the information they need, and then you never hear from them again.
Got it.
I'll give them all the information they need, and then next thing you know, I see them on Instagram, Facebook, posting that they're at the place that I gave them because they went and found it somewhere else. That was cheaper. Or they went through, like, they'll contact me and be like, oh, well, it's cheaper on Priceline. Well, I'm not Priceline. And you're going to have more of an interaction with me than what you're going to have at Priceline, when you're going to have to do everything yourself versus me. If there's a problem with your room, I'm the one who's calling. If you're canceling, if you want to change a person, I'm calling. That goes also with change fees and the name change fees and the date fees. I have to call and change that. So a lot of times, if it's a high peak season, I might be on hold for 2 hours just to change your date. So I need to be getting paid for that. If you cancel at a certain point in time, you need to pay me a cancellation fee because you're going to pay that resort a cancellation fee.
Because we all do. I think that with any travel that we have nowadays, there is insurance, and I know that when we do the trip with you, you do ask, hey, you guys want to get insurance just in case something happens where a family emergency, your job needs you, you can't take the days off, and it happens. It happens to the best of us, and so I think that that's really important to understand that with any part of travel, there's going to be research and cancellation fees and all of that. It all comes with the business. Okay, so don't get mad at Miss Atiba if you have to do that.
They get mad, but I do pick and choose. Like if it's an emergency, yes. But if you knew for a year that you were going and now you can't afford the flight, that was you not going with your responsibility.
Because we still have an obligation to understand a part of it, and so we got to understand that.
And then after now that you're not going, I worked for you for a whole year and I didn't get paid. And then I still don't make commission until you have actually checked into that resort and checked out. And then it could be a month after that before I even get paid. So it's not like automatically I'm getting paid, I'm already paid and you can cancel. No, it don't work like that.
It's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. So how far out do you think we should start booking trips? Well, if we come up with a date in our mind, do you think that it's better to book quickly or long time out to give yourself some time? What's your recommendations on that?
It all depends on what you're financially able to do.
Okay, yes.
So if you want to make payments basically and you want a better deal, I would definitely say a year. Maybe 13, 14 months out. That's what we did with Cancun. It was like 14 months out. We got that room. 2 people in the room was $600. But one of the people that jumped in at the last minute ended up paying $1,800. And it was like about 3 weeks, 2 weeks before we left.
Gotcha. So it is better to give yourself some time and get it on your calendar as early as possible.
Exactly. And then you also need to be mindful of, if you wait long, like 6 months to the time before you leave, you might not get the room you want. There might be all booked out already. And then you can't you really want to go, or the resort is booked out. Yeah. So there's also, you need to get in, because so many people are traveling now. You want to get the room you want. You want to get ahead of the step.
Exactly. Do you also book flights for people as well?
No, I do not book any flights.
Okay.
Reason why is because of the fact that I don't make commission off of it. Another reason is because a lot of people now have points.
Yes.
You know, so that puts another swing into things.
Yes.
If you're a frequent flyer and you have points and you want to use your points, and you know, that's a whole nother, you know, you have to have your app to use your points. So I don't have all that access for me to do all that. I just need your name, but you have the points, so you need to do all that.
I think that hasn't been like a hindrance with you booking, because, you know, I think you're right. You know, maybe one person wants to come the day before or day after. You know, we all can't be on the same flight.
Exactly.
But it hasn't been a hindrance at all. I think that the past 2 trips we ended up being on the same flight. Yeah. But I looked into other options as well, you know, and it worked out both ways, you know. So I think that, you know, having a little bit more control over your own flight plans is okay.
And your seat.
Yes, and your seat, exactly. Because you're right. Because if you're booking all of that, that person may want a window seat, and all they can get is an aisle seat, or they want to be in the front of the plane and they want more leg room, and all you can get is the back of the plane. So yeah, there's that, you know. And then I know that with flights, especially going internationally, is that sometimes the flights are early in the morning or later in the evening, and so that can be a little tricky. Yeah. So I totally get that. Let's see here. So I have a couple of benefits of travel that I kind of wrote down we can talk about. And I love this right here. I was actually with a friend this morning. I was just sharing with Atiba how my legs are hurting right now because I did a 15-mile bike ride. And we were talking about, I was asking her how she started riding, and she was saying because of self-care, you know. And I think that travel is a huge part of our self-care. You know, we've been talking about self-care even more, you know, out there. We're hearing that more as we get older. And I feel like travel is definitely a part of my self-care for sure.
Especially a solo. When I did my first solo,
yes,
gosh, it was amazing.
So let's talk about that with solo trips, because that's something I've been wanting to do, is like just pack up a backpack, and whatever's in my backpack is what's going to have to make it through that trip. Did you feel safe?
So what I did was there was 2 people. One was my cousin.
Okay.
During COVID, she had went to Mexico, and she was like, I didn't tell anybody until I was there. She didn't want no one to change her mind. And I was like, how did you feel? She said, I loved it. Then I had a coworker. I have a coworker that is a CRNA. And she was, right before COVID started, she was telling me how she was supposed to go to a yoga retreat in Paris. And I said, by yourself? You're going to go that far by yourself? Wow. She said, yes, I do it all the time.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm too scared to do it. So they kind of like kept talking me into doing it. Kept talking to me. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I followed behind my cousin. I told her, I said, I'm not telling anyone. And I chose Jamaica because, you know, that's my place. Gotcha. I have all private drivers and everything there, you know. A lot of people that I work with there, so I felt okay. If something did happen to me, I could reach out to somebody that I knew that was there. I didn't tell. I told Shatara when I was sitting in the airport.
That is so funny.
I did not tell my daughter.
Oh yeah, because she would have been there holding me by the ankles probably.
Well, when she found out, she tracked me on my iPhone.
Yes, yeah, and that's the blessing of it all too, is that we have so many ways to keep ourselves safe, even though anything can happen to us. But the apps is another way for us to keep, you know, tracking of each other and stuff, and letting people know where we are.
Exactly. I didn't tell anyone until I was
until you were there.
A lot of people didn't even know. I just told my closest people that what I was doing. Some people didn't even know until I started posting.
Wow.
And they were like, you went by yourself.
And you made it back home.
Yeah.
And you made it back home.
It was so nice. I could get up and go to dinner if I wanted to go to dinner. If I didn't want to go to dinner, I didn't have to go to dinner. I ordered room service. It was nice because I'm an extreme introvert. So it was nice to be by myself and move when I wanted.
She is an introvert, guys. She is. But not on these trips, because with us, we all have so much fun.
Yeah.
The last trip that we did recently to DR, her daughter came, which was a surprise, and we had so much fun. I'm like, I wish I would have brought my daughters. And I don't know how she hung out with us, and I don't know how we hung out with her, because we made it work and we had a great time, despite us having a bit of an age gap. But we had a really nice time.
Yeah.
You know, getting dressed up, going out to dinner, going to breakfast, just, you know, having light conversation. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
So now she's like, it doesn't matter how much it costs, I'm going.
She's gonna go.
So for these hostings, she's like, I'm going. So I have a roommate.
And her daughter was the rave of the resort. Let me just tell you, I don't know if it's any video out there, but man, she was so much fun. And you know, when you're having fun, that's when you draw people are drawn to you. But it was so many nice people at that resort. We met so many nice people.
It was. It would. I didn't think about it until it was later. The group that was with us, that was dancing.
Yes.
I was like, we should exchange information.
I know. What is wrong with us?
All I know is you're in Chicago. If you recognize me.
Yes. Oh, they were awesome. They were awesome. But I think they were there for a birthday group or something, and they were so nice. And you know, we just all bonded at the pool. And we had a good time.
Yeah, we really did. I really did enjoy. Yeah. I really did enjoy myself that time.
Yeah, I mean, I love coming back home, but I love being on trips. So I love it. So one of the benefits of traveling, these are just some little things I wrote down today. Travel makes you more mentally and physically healthy. Travel can improve your communication skills for some of us. Travel can make you more mindful of other people's cultures and values. And I feel like I know that that's a true statement. And I was so bad in the past. I would come back home from a trip and then read up on the place I traveled to. It just makes absolutely no sense. But I love that when we go, we connect with the people there, whether it be at the resort, the workers, and we ask questions, you know, about their culture. And, you know, we talk to them. You don't just treat them like, you know, they're nobodies. Or just, you know, people you may meet at the airport, you know, their culture and learning about them and their values.
It was a total eye-opener for me when I went to St. Martin's.
Gotcha.
Like, my first time being out of the country.
Yeah.
And it was, like, made me realize how blessed I am.
Yeah.
How, okay, we see how people live on TV, and it was, like, going into their, like, countryside and all that.
Yeah.
It really was, like, eye-opening.
And that's a part of, you know, we go on these trips and we go into our hotels and our resorts, but when you get out, like, you know, my first trip to Panama, you know, it was a missions trip, and so, you know, we saw a lot, you know, going to indigenous villages and seeing people, and they're happy, you know. I think that, you know, us Westerners, we feel like everybody has to live like us, but it doesn't mean that you have to have a house and car and all this money to be happy, you know.
Exactly.
So seeing that in other cultures is huge, you know. Travel can help you make memorable memories, which that's what we're doing. Travel can help you forget about your daily troubles. Travel can expand your horizons, and travel can help you meet new people. And we have done that. This is one of the questions I have for you, and I know that you actually, you've talked to all of us about this when we travel with you. So when we're traveling as women, what are some of the safety tips that we need to know when we're traveling, whether it's solo or with a group?
Solo or with a group, number one with me. I always buy not buy, but I have it.
Okay.
There's a lock that you put on your door.
Okay.
It goes like, it just slides like in a little lock part of the door. It can be found on Amazon.
Okay.
And I also have the little, it looks like a door stopper, but when that door opens, it's an alarm that sets off.
Oh, wow.
Main thing I try to tell people that's on my group trips, don't get the lowest room, which would be the garden room, you know, or it might just say room.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that room, that balcony is facing the woods, it's facing the trees. So no one is back there.
Yes.
So anybody can climb up in your balcony and come into your room. Versus you having a resort view, an ocean view. Yeah. Your balcony is facing traffic. So if they see somebody climbing up in your room, somebody's going to say something. Exactly. You know, and they're probably not going to do it because of the fact that everyone can see them.
Exactly.
Just because you're in a resort, don't think you're safe.
Yeah.
You know, yes, you're safe in one sense, but you do have, you know, workers that do things.
Yeah, and you want to be we want to be mindful of that stuff. We don't want to just like you said, take that for granted that we're someplace and it's absolutely safe all the time.
Yes.
So I love that. So we need to put that on the in our description today for people who are looking for those items. Maybe. So before we close, I want you to share with the listeners how they can find you on social media, because you're on all the platforms, all the platforms. We were talking about this before we started the podcast today. I'm like, I need to get like you. So
it took a long time to get there. It's a lot to keep up.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Absolutely.
It might be 3-4 months before I post on one of my platforms.
Got it.
On Facebook, I have a platform that is Discover Travel.
Yes.
The other one is Travel with Atiba Sheree, and that's also on Facebook. On Instagram is travel_W_Atiba Sheree. And then TikTok is just Atiba Sheree. And you can go and see my YouTube channel, which is Travel with Atiba Sheree, and you're going to see the resorts that I've stayed at. You're going to see the room tours, the resort tours. You're going to see us doing some things and having fun.
Yes.
You're going to see a lot of different videos that I don't post on those other platforms because, of course, they're a little longer. You might see a shorter version of them, but those are all my platforms where you can find me. And you can also email me at travelatiba@gmail.com.
Awesome. I want to say thank you to her too, not just for recording with me today, but for my birthday, because the last trip we went on, she surprised me. I had this beautiful sash on my room door when I got there that the butler put out there, and then they gave me a cake, and then for our last dinner of the last night, they surprised me and came out and sang to me happy birthday. I was so surprised, and so I appreciate you doing that. So we were telling you guys that we would have something for you at the end of this podcast. I'm going to let Atiba share that with you because she does have a gift to give everyone who's listening today.
So the gift is, if you book a trip on your own, if it's for you, your family, whoever, if it is you want to participate in a group trip, you will get $100 off of your booking for the next 30 days. Just let me know that you heard it from the podcast, and it'll be code GRACE100.
All right, everybody. So you heard that. If you want to book a trip with Atiba within the next 30 days, she's going to give you $100 off, but you have to use that promo code GRACE100. Okay. So don't forget to do that. And I just wanted to actually give a couple of quick little shout outs. My niece, who actually made me an auntie because she was my very first niece. I love all of my nieces and nephews, so no favorites here. But I do want to wish her a happy birthday. Her birthday is this month in just a couple of weeks. So I want to wish her a happy birthday. I want to say congratulations to a good friend of mine. She's actually my BGR sister. So BGR means Black Girls Run. Black Girls Do Bike. And she just had a baby, Beatrice. Congratulations to you and your family. And I also wanted to give a shout out to my church, COTLE. That's short for Church on the Living Edge. We're out of Longwood. My bishop is Bishop Mark Sharona. And I wanted to put a plug in for my church. Again, that's Church on the Living Edge. Come out and see us. We have amazing worship. And for anybody that knows my bishop, he is phenomenal and loves the Lord. And that's number one. I wanted to leave you guys with a couple of things. For those who are afraid to travel, Deuteronomy 31:8 says, the Lord himself goes before you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. So I want to encourage you guys who's out there who wants to travel and because people are afraid of flying. Yes. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are still afraid of flying. And, I'm like, how else are we going to get there? You want to go, you see the pictures online, you see us having fun, you see us on the boat, you're scared of water. How are you going to do all those things? But put that fear aside.
This has made me come out.
Yes.
Because I don't like to fly over 2 hours.
Oh, you listen.
And at first I didn't want to fly over water because I can't swim.
If you didn't tell me that, I wouldn't have known that, because on the flight you never act crazy. we do fine on flights, people. We do fine on flights, okay?
Yes.
All the flights have been super comfortable, and we have been it's been great.
Okay? I'm trying to gear myself up for this Dubai flight.
Yes. So for next year, Atiba was not planning on doing another Punta Cana trip, but because of the social media uproar, everybody saw pictures from all of our social media sites. She had to book another DR trip. So that is going to be coming up. So if you reach out to her, she can share some of that with you. She does do family trips. Jamaica, her favorite little spot, as she said.
I go there every August for my birthday.
Yes.
I'll be flying out in 2.5 weeks.
And she tells her job, bye-bye, because this is what I do every year. And then a big trip for next year is going to be to Dubai. So if you want some more information on that, definitely get with her and check that out. She would love to give you some information on that. I can't wait to book for my next one. I was really sad because she was going to do a Cabo trip next year that you're not going to do, but it's okay because I know it's going to come around again. Yes. But that's one of the places that I told her I want to go, but I want to do it with her because I want to support her and I want to also support doing another girls trip, okay? Just a couple little quotes that I want to leave with you guys regarding traveling. The journey is never ending. Sometimes it's the journey that teaches you a lot about your destination. Focus on the journey and not the destination. So I just want to thank everybody for joining our podcast today, Art of Grace. Thank you to our supporters. I do want to say congratulations to our listener, one of our first listeners who contacted us on social media. Darlene did win the prize from last week, that free gift that we gave. Thank you, Darlene, for sharing with me. And I want to thank everybody who's contacted me this week since the podcast has been released. You can find us on a whole bunch of places, Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout. We'll be putting that out there as well on the different podcast directories. So don't forget to check us out. And also check us out on YouTube, Art of Grace. All right. Thank you so much, Atiba, for coming out with me today. I appreciate you. And I also want to leave with you guys too. When you call Atiba, don't forget to ask her about passports, okay? Because when you hear us talking about these trips, you can't just use your driver's license to get over, out of the country and just go someplace internationally. You need to have a passport. So there's these different things that you're going to need to put in place if you want to travel to all these lovely places that we've been talking about today. And that is one of them because the United States of America wants us to have a passport, okay? So she can share some information with you about that as well. But until the next time, we will be talking to you again. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Art of Grace podcast. We appreciate you. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Art of Grace, designing a better